Cool. Welcome to the meeting of the Performing Arts Committee on September 17th. Today, let me pull this up at 6:19. Okay, great. Spanish or Chinese interpretation via Zoom and translation of meeting materials are available at no cost upon request. Please contact the city by 5 p.m. at least 2 business days prior to the day of the scheduled meeting, or by phone at 650-903-608, or by email at mep@mountainview.gov. This meeting is being conducted with a virtual component. Anyone wishing to address the committee virtually may join the meeting online at mountainview.us/j/85206706172 or by dialing 666-900-9128 and entering the webinar ID 852-0670-6172. When the chair announces the item on which you wish to speak, click the raise hand feature in Zoom or dial *9 on your phone. When the chair calls on your name to provide public comment, if you are participating via phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Roll call, please, by staff.
Committee member Andrea Bardwaj. Here. Vice Chair Carol Donahue. Here. Chair David Garcia.
Present.
Committee member Valerie Fenwick. Present.
Great, all are present. Okay, let's look at the minutes here from last time. Item 3. We have 2 sets.
Yes. I'm Valerie. I reviewed the minutes and they looked complete and accurate to me. While I didn't attend the meeting on August 22nd, they seem to match what I understood was discussed. So I'm happy, unless anyone has any concerns, I'm happy to make a motion.
I second the motion.
To approve, I should say,
Yeah.
to approve both sets of minutes.
Or second the motion.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Great. On to item 4, oral communication from the public. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. State law prohibits the committee from acting on any non-agenda items. Do we have oral communication from the public? And Alondra, do you have the timer?
I do. There's nobody on Zoom right now.
Anyone can wish to speak? Excellent. Okay. Item 5, unfinished business, none. Looking at item 6, with resident company review from PYT.
So I'll start with the staff memo first, and then I'll invite one up. So this is welcoming PYT on your annual review for the resident company status. Most of you already know this, but for our audience and various folks, Peninsula Youth Theater was founded in 1992 with a clear mission to provide outstanding theatrical learning experiences that develop leadership, emphasize responsibility, and foster teamwork in a supportive, respectful environment. They emphasize professional production values to help children cultivate a deep appreciation for the theatrical arts. And PYT is committed to providing an enriching theatrical experience with the community and local schools to demonstrate and reinforce the positive role that the arts play in academic success. So for the previous fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024, Peninsula Youth Theater had an approved budget of $1,072,763. And through program services, they generated $798,415 in revenue and received $274,348 from contributions and grants. Looking ahead to the current fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, PYT has a budget of $1,134,746. The anticipated revenue from program services is approximately $829,046. with an additional 5,700 expected from contributed revenue sources. The City of Mountain View supports a mutual beneficial resident company agreement with Peninsula Youth Theater. The resident company status requires that PYT perform at least 6 productions and offer a minimum of 3 different titles at the Mountain View Center for the Performing Arts per season. In return, PYT gains priority in choosing dates during the primary scheduling for their upcoming season. So the analysis following here, PYT will come up and give us an analysis. We have a review here of financial analysis is your next page that's in front of you. So they did 4 shows on the main stage: Finding Nemo, Mary Poppins, Tuck Everlasting, and Alice in Wonderland. Any questions there? I'm kind of gonna go through this. We've seen some of these before, but I know I have a couple new committee members, so if you have questions, don't hesitate to slow me down if you need to. So as you can see, number of performances for Finding Nemo, 6, following Mary Poppins, 8, 8, and 6, for a total of 28 performances. Total number of tickets for main stage shows was 9,551. Gross ticket sales, the percentage of the seats sold was 57%. As you can see, moving across, this is kind of the 14%. We do a flat fee versus a gross, and for PYT, their percentage is 14%. So that's the percentage that the city collected for rental revenues, and then facility and audience services, labor and equipment, ticket service fees, total revenues to CIP for the main stage. CPA for the main stage is $112,713. And then they did, following, 36 performances in the second stage for a total of 3,972 tickets. Gross ticket sales there, 45,575. The percentage of the seats sold for all of those shows was 69%. Again, 14%. There's an asterisk behind any of those if it ends up being a flat fee, which I will say that typically PYT is always at a gross. They sell enough tickets that it isn't a flat fee. It's only if the ticket sales don't cover. So net to PYT is 136,983.47. We had 4 performances on the main stage and 7 in second stage. Any questions from my committee?
I have a question.
Yes.
For facility and audience services
Mhm.
fees, $270 for the second stage for all of them except for Chicago Teen Edition. What?
That's because the stories on stage are typically school performances. We really don't take a facility use fee. So when we say facility, it's actually facility use fee.
Okay.
And then audience services. For the school performances, we don't take those because we sell them in bulk. And so it's like a per order fee. It's a much smaller amount. And the Chicago Teen Edition, although it was in second stage, it was I'm gonna say this, Connor.
It was over the summer.
Yeah, it was a typical production. It wasn't a school only.
Got it,
Production.
got it. Okay, so that's the difference for that one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then I would like to welcome Connor up to give her presentation, or give the presentation for Peninsula Youth Theater. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Connor.
Connor.
Hello. I am managing director at PYT. I am joined today by several of our board members.
Welcome.
Would you like to introduce yourselves? You don't have to. They will be participating in parts of this.
My name is Vivek Sharma. I have been recently here with PYT, the last thing goes, where we PYT stories on stage, as well as I think for 5 years now.
My name is Carol Dout Muller. It's my second, I sort of was on the board when my daughter was a performer with PYT, and I'm back on the board to help out with Stories on Stage and some other things.
Hi, I'm Pam Prodromo, and my kids started at PYT in 2013. I've been involved pretty actively ever since, board president for the last 2 years, and on the board for a few years before that, and a volunteer producer.
And I'm Alette Waller, and I've been PYT, do I have to say, since 1997? My daughter grew up at PYT, and I got dragged into costumes, and I've been doing costumes ever since. I'm on the board now, but have successfully stayed off of it for many years, preferring to be behind the scenes at costumes, but on your team.
Hi, my name's Dan Kelly. I'm a Mountain View resident. I've been on the PYT board. I joined during COVID, so 5 years. My children were involved, but are now too old for that. Yeah.
I'm Carrie Watson, Mountain View resident. Been on the board for a little over a year, I think, so relatively newbie. My daughter's been involved with PYT productions since playing a box and camps in the park, and now she's pretty active. She's in high school now, and she's pretty active in the different productions, so.
Yeah, I'm a Mountain View resident as well, and I must say that I've been experiencing MVCPA since 2001, before Mountain View became downtown.
I remember when they built it.
Well, you have to come to the anniversary celebration.
Yeah. Oh, great, we can move on. I am going out of order with your questions just for the sake of an overall narrative. But so we are going to start off just with an overview of our programs, which I believe was part of the collaboration section. So the programs that we offer, these are our primary buckets. Our first one's School Plan a Box. We also refer to it as SPIB. This is our after school programs that are hosted specifically on site at both public and private schools, all the way from San Jose to Menlo Park, so pretty much all of the Santa Clara County. We don't go down to Morgan Hill and Gilroy. That is a little far, but we also have our studio classes and camps, which are at our studio in Mountain View. These involve a lot of different subjects. Musical theater, acting, and improv are the main ones, but sometimes we do audition prep. This fall, we're doing a new class called Rewrite This Story, and it's specifically on adapting scripts. Unfortunately, writing classes for young people, we tried several times to get something off the ground, even during COVID. They just aren't as popular as the more active ones, but we're giving it a shot again. And also at PYT, we offer school break camps during school year, during winter break, during the week off that they have in February, which is commonly known as ski week. I'm not a skier, but a lot of these kids aren't either, because then they come to drama camp. And then we do a spring break camp usually as well. You all are likely familiar with our performance programs, our main stage musicals, and our Stories on Stage program, all of which are performed here at MVCPA, and our Theater in the Park summer camps, which is our largest program by revenue and attendance. We offer camps for ages 4 to 15, and also ages 13 plus have the opportunity to intern for us and help support those camps. And they are day camps that last either 1 or 2 weeks, where campers are putting on a play, making their own props, costume sets. Everything is very scrappy, but it's a good time. This is from Alice in Wonderland. This is not from camp. Sets that we built ourselves. And our MVCPA camps. We host our camps at several different school sites in the area, but specifically at MVCPA, they perform on the park stage. This is why we call it Theater in the Park at the end of each camp. at least for the performance ones. The kids have an outdoor performance. We also work with Saratoga Rec and perform at Wildwood Park in Saratoga. And we have a partnership with Los Altos at a couple of schools. I'll also mention, for the slide, there's a question about the communities that we're serving with these programs, and all of them are ultimately designed to serve young people who are interested in the performing arts in the greater Metro area. And do we feel we're effectively reaching them? Yes, but there's always room for improvement. Our work is never done. And we also know that participation in our programs, particularly our private ones that are at our studio and offered outside of school, are dominated by middle-class families who can afford our tuition and the time that it requires to participate successfully in these programs. We do offer ways for families who want to participate but have a financial barrier to work around our tuition fees, but access to the program still requires reliable transportation and familial support, particularly with volunteering. We do require volunteer hours from most of our participants because we rely on that labor to keep our costs down. But that's not something lower income families are able to provide. It is something that we can waive for some families, but those are some big barriers to our programs, but I think the arts in general, that we're always keeping in mind. And to keep that in mind, we prioritize working to feed all of our kids through our in-school programming and our school day performances, we mentioned when we were looking at the finances. We do school day performances for our 2 musicals that perform during the school year in the fall and the spring, as well as all of our Stories on Stage programs, which all run during the school year. So we do reach a lot of kids through these methods, and we always ask for the Stories on Stage school productions for kids to raise their hand if this is their first time experiencing theater live for the first time, and we always get a ton of hands. Sometimes these kids might not understand fully what that question even means. So I can't say the data is accurate, but we do see that and we're very proud of that. So specifically, how many programs have been delivered in Mountain View? All of our studio classes and our rehearsals for our performance programs are in Mountain View because that's where our studio is. Specifically for our school play in a box program, SBIB, these are our 3 schools in Mountain View. Therakoff and Landals are public. Yucheng International School is private. And this makes Mountain View overall makes up about 25% of our SBIB program total. All of our performance programs, as I've said, from here at MPCPA. And as far as we know, we are also the only company that actually utilizes all 3 stages at MPCPA, and we are also very proud of that. How are we assessing these programs' impact as well as our base programs before? Enrollment and retention trends. We take participation surveys, particularly for our camps. We try to have review sessions as often as possible with staff and school administrators at the end of every program. And we pay attention to our attendance and ticket sales. Of course, these are more of the quantitative ways that we are assessing our programs, but we have a lot of anecdotal evidence that people like us, I think our board can attest to that. And I did want to take some time now to share a couple of messages that we got at the end of last summer from some of our participants, which I've given to our board members.
Yeah, I'm myself a testimony myself, but I really like this email. It sort of connected with me. This is Sophie, who's been with us for a while, and she's joined us. She's volunteers with us. She's not participating, which is not unusual for us to have people who want to volunteer, even though they couldn't participate because of conflict. Everything else they're doing in middle school or so I have teenage girls, so that's why I connected with it. Thanks for including Sophie in your activities over at PYT. She truly loves being a part of every single audition, rehearsal, tech, performance, whether as a volunteer or part of the cast. When she has something PYT related on her schedule, she's in a great mood all day. And that's saying a lot for a teenage girl. I have twin girls who are teenagers, I can do the rest of that. It's been such a huge positive part of her life and we are so appreciative. So thank you for everything. I'm telling you, I have twin girls who are teenagers and if they say hi, forget hugs in the day. And PYT, my girls do both stories on stage and they've done the musicals as well. It's amazing. The day they have the rehearsals, it ends sometimes at 9:30, go home at 10, but full of energy. And the next day is even good.
Awesome.
I have an email to read as well. Dear PYT producers, as Alice in Wonderland approaches its finale, we wanted to take a moment to express our heartfelt thanks for all the guidance and support you've given our daughter, Lily and Gia. We've truly seen her grow through this journey from Finding Nemo through Mary Poppins and now Small Alice. It's been a joy to watch her transformation and her love for every part of PYT. We're also deeply appreciative of the incredible work the producers and team have done, especially in navigating the challenges of COVID, to put on such a magical show. Such dedication, effort, and passion mean a great deal to our family. Looking ahead, we've already signed Lily up for Shrek, and we'd love to contribute further by donating $3,500 to sponsor a season. Yeah, anyway, and I want to say that, so I have twins as well, because that's the way to go. My son,
Board members, we have.
What are the, I'm trying to see what are the odds here?
my son participated in shows from when he was 8 until he got aged out. He also interned at a large number of summer camps. And now it's like,
Not this summer.
and the last 2 summers. has
Oh,
been-
yeah, that's right. We
last
hired
2
him
summers
early.
he's been a paid teacher at summer camps. My daughter did one show, decided that was not for her, but then has done tech for many shows. And signed, so I dropped the 2 of them at Stanford yesterday,
That's right.
which I have mixed feelings about.
Oh, yes. Oh, daddy, I know.
But my daughter emailed me today, texted me, she signed up to run tech. I know, so I'm just saying, it's been deeply impactful for my whole family. Okay, thank you.
Very nice.
So moving on. What other benefits do you believe your organization brings to the Mountain View community? So, besides all of those things. Looking at bigger picture, we are ultimately a Mountain View organization. We always have been. We have a long established partnership with the city since our establishment in 1992. There are similar programs to us in San Jose, in Sunnyvale, in Los Altos, in Palo Alto. We know them, we're in touch, we share resources. But as we are here, we are often the most convenient and we toot our own horn and we think we're the best. But we also know that location is important to families and often people find us because of where we are located, but people stay because of what we offer. So one thing that sets us apart is that we offer a program community that offers the entire ecosystem around a child to be able to participate in our programs. We rely a lot on volunteer labor from parents, from family members, but a lot of the feedback that we get from parents is our executive artistic director, Karen, who is at rehearsal directing the show right now, who is also a parent, always says at our initial parent meetings for our big shows that this is a unique place where families can participate in an activity together with their kids who don't want anything to do with them. Because we give everyone a job and everyone's focused on that job. And the kids love it because they want to perform and they're excited about the arts. And the parents love that they can support their kids doing these things, but
It's hands-on.
Mom, like, stay over there, you know? It is hands-on, but it's fun. It truly is fun for the whole family. And, because we are a private program, we are bringing in kids from across the South Bay at least. So kids from different schools are able to connect with each other who otherwise likely would not. And finally, we really, for years, have stayed true to our values of responsibility, teamwork, and fun in our programs. They are always at the forefront of everything we do. We care about the work, we care about putting on good shows, but this is how we do it. And that's where we bring all of our kids back to. Anything else to add from all of you who are parents, former parents?
I just wanted to say too, like along the lines of, I mean, both my kids participated in PYT. They both have now aged out as well. And one of the things that really, really made all of it made a big difference, but when COVID hit, PYT was absolutely, for my kids, the first group to pivot like that and provide opportunity for them to stay engaged with their community of theater friends. They created opportunities to do these phone, Zoom, performances. Nobody had done that before. I mean, it was just all new and they didn't hesitate. They knew it was important for these kids to have engagement with each other, to have engagement with the arts. All of it just, I cannot tell you how important that was as a parent to see that outlet available for my children who were struggling as many were. So there are many stories I could tell, but that is one of the ones that I feel just is so, so, so meaningful to our family. It is part of why I continue to give back to PYT because of how impactful it was.
And if I can, I'm gonna actually say something that is usually I'm petrified. I think there's something to say that Carol's been with it 28, 29 years. I've been with it 27 years. She's been it for a long time. So even though our kids aged out a long time ago, we're still here. And Caitlin, the head of our educational, was a PYT kid. Erin was a PYT kid. Our choreographer is a PYT kid. Our music person is a PYT. They grew up through the program, went off to college, did their education, came back and went, hey, that's the place I want to work. And that our accountant, yes, our accountant. Oh yeah, our accountant was a PYT kid. Who else? I'm sure there's many more. But the fact that parents still stay involved and the kids 20 years later stay involved, that says it's a quality program.
Yes. And the other thing I want to mention, and it's kind of been touched on, but it's just not only providing opportunities for these kids to perform on stage and create amazing productions, but backstage, whatever they want. If a kid comes and presents a proposal and says, I would like to get involved in X, Y, or Z, PYT listens and tries to provide those opportunities for growth and leadership, experience, mentorship, all those things, all the time.
And I'm probably not the first person at PYT to have this experience, but I now attend PYT productions with my grandchild. I'm sure that you may have noticed the star in the east when she was born. She is 4, as she will tell you, and she has been to many, many PYT productions already.
Oh Lordy, she's gonna be an expert. Yes, we are well into generation 2 of students. And wow, soon into generation 3, Karen's gonna flip. Thank you, everyone. So regarding, I put the programming and strategic planning questions together here. So overall right now we are going through a lot of change. Some of it has been anticipated, but a lot of it has not been. So, regarding programming, strategic planning, all of that, we're very much in just stay the course mode right now as we work through everything. So because of that, our biggest advances are really around consistency. Consistency is a big win for us right now. So if we're having some programs that are staying consistent, we are happy. Our main stage musicals have been hitting capacity pretty regularly since COVID, and we're very proud of that. Our classes have been staying strong, and our school play in a box program has been staying strong. As far as setbacks go, right now we are working through the center's new staffing mandate, which is forcing us to reconsider a lot of our own creative choices, our own staffing structure, our budget, of course, and our educational operations. I know we've mentioned we have a lot of teens that like to volunteer backstage, but not sure how we're gonna be able to make that work anymore. So to be determined, it is still pretty new. Another setback, our Stories on Stage program really since COVID has, and maybe a little bit before then, but I only started at COVID, has not really restabilized as strongly in ways our other programs have. We've seen an overall decrease of interest for that middle and high school level, which are the actors that we recruit for that program in particular. And that program was designed for a higher level of talent that we also unfortunately have not been able to recruit in that space. We want to give kids a chance to be involved in an advanced acting program. That's the way this program was designed. But we are not seeing that as well these past couple of years. Also this summer, this is more of an unexpected change. We saw a drop in summer camp enrollment. We increased our camp tuition about 4 or 5% over the last few years, just with inflation, with before I came on board, our camp rates were extremely below market, so I've really just been trying to get them up. If you're a parent, or parent with kids who go to summer camp now, you know how absolutely insane that market is. So we've been trying to match it, but so because of that increase, we didn't see a 10% revenue loss, but it was an unexpected thing, as this was the first summer since COVID that we saw a drop in enrollment. So we will be diving into that before next summer to see how we can fix. And lastly, of the big setbacks, over the last couple of years, we have also received word from a couple of our big foundational contributors, particularly the Packard Foundation and the Serato Foundation, who are nationally serving foundations, but both are local to the Bay Area. And we were local community drive. I don't exactly know what their initiative was called, but just, our community arts program support from the Packard Foundation in particular. We pretty much annually got a $20,000 grant from them for years plus. We've been a very consistent recipient of grant money or grantee from them. And they met with us last year or the year before, saying they were shifting their strategic priorities and no longer supporting artistic institutions. So we are currently in our last grant cycle for them. Our last 20K will be for 2026. So that was an anticipated change. As we heard, they did tell us in advance, these foundations have big 10, 20-year strategic plans. But that is unless the Serato Foundation, we received in-kind support from. They have provided us a very, very low rent. Technically it's an office space, but we have retrofitted it to work for several things over the last few years. We received it in 2019 from them because we lost our studio space building was sold to a new owner and the rent went up significantly. So we had to give up one of our studio spaces, and for that we were able to find the support from Serato. But we are likely losing that space at the end of this year. And as a symptom of that, last year, likely spoke to you about this, but we shared a space with TheaterWorks in Redwood City that was also owned by Serato to store our costumes in. TheaterWorks was kicked out of that space last year and had to find a new home. So we also had to find a new home for our costumes. Well, we moved everything to our Milpitas Serato space, but we are not losing that. So, yeah, let us know if you know anyone who has some warehouse space floating around, because we need it, TheaterWorks needs it, Palo Alto Players needs it. That stuff. So as far as structural changes and programming changes, currently no major structural changes for this year. As I said, we're just trying to stay afloat. But on the programming side, we are very focused on working to try and save, for lack of a better word, our Stories on Stage program. It is already small scale, so we want to keep our tuition costs and our ticket costs low to keep that accessible to families. That's the intention of the program. So we are working to just try and get more people through the door for that program. As I mentioned, we are trying to figure out different ways to provide technical leadership positions to our teens who are interested that aren't here at the center. This also has affected our structure for stage management for our Stories on Stage program. Usually we'd have a student stage manager up in the booth with our lighting designer and just a lighting designer for SOS, but with our requirement to hire center staff, we don't feel comfortable having our students up there, so we are working to work something else out. Also with that, we've had to make some changes for our design of our main stage shows. I mentioned to maybe a month ago, we're dealing with what we are seeing from our estimates of about a 30 to 40% year-over-year increase in our venue costs. So we just won't be able to sustain that for very long. So we are having to make cuts for our budgets for our sets. Just not gonna be able to have as many elaborate sets this year. We're not flying anything in from the fly rail. And even the work that we've done so far isn't enough to make up that difference. So we're still very much actively trying to figure it out. And a piece of that, just to be frank, is exploring other venue options. Especially for Stories on Stage and our summer shows, because our shows that happen during the school year at the main stage, we offer 2 productions per, for 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring, and they consistently sell out. Shrek is already sold out for schools, has been, I think, since the middle of the summer, with a significant wait list. So, we're able to fill the building for those shows.
The main stage ones.
For main stage, yeah. Not for our general shows.
I see.
But we still want to be able to offer our general audience shows and keep our ticket costs as low as possible. So explore options to be able to do that elsewhere. So as far as strategic planning, Stories on Stage is a big part of that, and as well as our venue consideration for our performance programs. But another piece of that over the last couple of years is focusing on re-energizing our board. Our board was heavily involved in getting through COVID, which ultimately led to some personnel changes, not due to decisions that we had to make, but we had to major staff members leave from their own decision-making through that great resignation process. And this was all before I was even hired, because through that process, my position was created. And I was hired in 2021. But after that, after we burned out everyone that was basically on the board, from what I understood, involvement just kind of stagnated a little bit. They were involved, we had meetings, we discussed things, but the majority of decisions of the organization were made by staff. So I did want to invite Pam, our current president, to speak a little bit about what we've done the last couple of years to recruit new members and some committees that we've just created.
So, we now have 13 board members, and many have started in the last couple of years in this effort to kind of re-energize and bring some families in who hadn't had the opportunity to participate before, many of whom were active volunteers, so they were very familiar with the organization. They have kids who are actively engaged. Some who had kids, again, who weren't engaged anymore, but wanted to come back and support the organization. So again, it's speaking to that, how many different levels of participation we have from families. And so, yeah, now we're at 13, if I didn't say that already. And we did just last week get some committees going that we've talked about for a while, but we're trying to really get activated even further. And one of those committees is the development committee, and basically coming up with ways to raise funds from existing families as well as families that participated previously, and also just from the community at large who want to support PYT and the programs that they offer. And then a nominating committee, because I am terming out, the president role is 2 years. So we have a nominating committee that will be talking to board members about their interest in taking on and becoming an officer for the board. And then also trying to make sure that we continue to recruit actively for people who would like to participate at the board level, because I think there would be a lot of interest, again, given the dedication and commitment to PYT that many families feel. And then one other committee we created last week was the succession committee. And I'm gonna let Connor speak about that unless there was something else that you wanted me to share about what the board's been trying to, the point we've been trying to get to.
That's great, but we can move on. So we will have a leadership change coming, and it actually involves me. I have been accepted to graduate school. I've specifically been accepted to the master's program at Drexel University in Philadelphia in arts administration. So I really love it out here. I've been doing this for 4 years. Before that, I was with Girl Scouts, which I also loved, but I still love Girl Scouts very much. So I'm really excited. This job ultimately led to making this decision. But I was looking over the summer. I've been talking about grad school for a long time. And I was originally looking to start next fall and apply this fall. But I visited Philly and I visited campus in August. And I fell in love with it, and I decided with the overall state of higher ed right now and just where this timing is in my life, I'm gonna start this fall. Starting a couple online classes, and then depending on how quickly we're able to find my replacement here, I plan to move to Philadelphia to pursue the rest of my degree on campus. And my partner and I really like Philly, and we might end up settling there after I'm done, but that's but as I said, I'm very excited. But I am very sad to be leaving PYT. You know, it's ultimately what has made me realize that this is the type of job I want to keep doing forever. And what inspired me to choose this particular grad program before I was looking at MBAs and trying to get out of the nonprofit space. But I gave up, so. But, you know, with all that, we are facing a lot of challenges right now, and this was another one that I had to dump on everyone. So I'll have to say, a major task for us this fall is finding my replacement. But I do want to thank all of you and the rest of the board. They've been nothing but supportive since I told them literally a week to go tonight. So very, very new, but we're gonna work through it. So obviously, ultimately, that will end up in some changes. We're already kind of taking a look at my role, which has evolved over the last 4 years. My original title was Director of Business Operations, but I have experience. I didn't grow up at PYT, but I grew up in a similar community theater program. So I had, even though I was hired for more of my quantitative skill, I have the connection to the arts, not professionally until this point. But the role ultimately evolved into what is the traditional managing director role in in theater. So that's why my title change happened a couple years ago, but we are gonna take a step back. That's what the committee is for, to look at the managing director role, if it needs to be adjusted. Or if we're just gonna adjust it depending on qualified candidates we hopefully find. So that's a big change. So the other question under the organization was, do any of your members work or reside in Mountain View? Well, 5 of them do, and 4 of them are here tonight. So 5 out of the 13 are Mountain View residents. But looking at our list, actually every other member lives in a different city in the area. So we have a pretty fair representation of our reach, which I actually hadn't really realized until I wanted to answer this question. But I'm proud of that. So key metrics and demographics of our current audience. So because our primary audience is the youth that we serve through our programs, the data that we have is based on our registration. We do not track any data on our actual audiences, or our attending audiences for our shows. But this data is both collected directly through our program registration, but also our school-based registration at our SWIP schools. Looking at the last 5 years, we really haven't seen any significant changes in this data, more than 4% up and down any of these numbers. I did not take the time to pull pre-2020 age data, but anecdotally, over the last 5 to 10 years looking back, we have seen probably more of a 5% increase or decrease in the participation of those older age groups, 12 to 14 and 5 to 18, and an increase in the 6 to 11. That's all. Next slide. Strategies in marketing. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around with those questions. Are we attracting to a more diverse or younger audience? Well, we can't go any younger, but we can get more diverse. And ultimately, a diverse audience is just reaching out more to the people that we aren't serving as readily. As I mentioned, middle-class families are dominating our programs. And the way we do this is through our school day matinees and our school programs where we're meeting children where they are instead of making them come to us. And then another big strategy that we're trying to push, as I've mentioned, is promoting our Stories on Stage program. So Carol has been instrumental to that over the last couple of months, and I'd love her to describe a couple of things that she's been doing.
I had a couple of careers in journalism, and I've been a part-time bookseller at Hickleby's in San Jose for 25 years. And Hickleby's is a media sponsor for Stories on Stage. And so we've just been working to try and do better marketing. A lot of Stories on Stage problems is that it's a very small program in a much larger organization, and obviously the larger organization sucks up a lot of the resources. And the pipeline for Stories on Stage participants got severely interrupted in COVID. Kids can always get a view of, oh, I want to be in Mary Poppins. They don't know that they want to be in these smaller plays that are based on children's literature, both stuff in the public domain and stuff that we get the rights for and adapt ourselves. And the pipeline just got interrupted. Kids didn't realize that there's this other whole great opportunity. So we've been trying to market it a lot harder. I presented to a local group or to a Bay Area group of children's booksellers about Stories on Stage, and did a certain amount of begging, as well as just, we need your help promoting this publicity wise, but we'd also love it if you have other people that you connect with us to support it. Comparable organizations who did, not comparable in size or scope perhaps, but comparable organizations that also focused on making literary properties into putting stories on their feet on stage have dropped like flies throughout the Bay Area, and Stories on Stage is sort of the last person standing in that regard. when I made my presentation to booksellers, I said, you know, what would you know if you knew your favorite book was about to go out of print? And there's sort of a gasp in the room. Well, that's how I feel about Stories on Stage. So we're just, we're trying to get a regular mailing list up so that they can print out posters and put them in their stores. Just trying to do a lot more to get the public aware of Stories on Stage, the public performances. Meanwhile, the school performances of Stories on Stage sell out all the time. This is a wonderful venue for people's early theater experiences. We try to keep it affordable. It's great for younger audiences. It's great for the participants in it, the adoration in a small black box stage thing where you get to see your audiences up close, absolutely adoring what you're doing with in the black box space where it's, you know, it's imagination and creativity with not a lot of props and not a lot of sets, but bringing stories, especially when the teachers have been good and taught the stories beforehand, bringing stories to life. It's just a great program, and we want to do everything we can to keep it viable. And the operational changes have been very hard on Stories on Stage in terms of what we can offer and do. So we, you know, are just trying to make as much as we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and Connor, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the demographic data that you presented, Caucasian was like, you know, weighted pretty high. But I wanted to point out that what it doesn't show is that like Mountain View has Caucasians from all over the world, right? There are people from Serbia and Baidan, you know, Turkey. And so that's something which is great about Mountain View, I personally feel is fantastic. And that is represented at the PYT, at least the musicals, right? The main stage. I mean, for me, it's amazing to be with people from Argentina, Chile, Bosnia, who are Mountain View residents, they're Caucasians, but I just want to see the diversity is a little bit, get a little skewed in that data point.
Okay. Social media. Okay, so what platforms do we use? Instagram and Facebook really are it. We dabbled in Twitter and what's that? No more Twitter, once became X. We also have not delved into TikTok, basically because I manage our social media and I personally refuse to get on TikTok for my own well-being. But I say that, but I'm also contradicting myself because I spend a lot of time on Instagram and all the reels and stuff are basically the same thing. But anyway, as far as creating awareness, Instagram is definitely over the last couple of years been the most effective. Particularly on there, we are reaching our current participants who are allowed to be on Instagram, as well as probably ones who aren't, but that's not my job. As well as recent alumni and parents and other supporters who are on that platform. And this year we've had a couple of really great Instagram takeovers from our own actors, 13 plus, to help us from the inside. Carrie's daughter's done it, I think.
Yeah. So my daughter's in high school now, but she's been on Instagram for a couple of years, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with the theater world on social media, but it's enormous. And my daughter follows other youth theater companies across the country. And one of the things that has been seeing, and they, you know, kind of her peers have all been seeing in the past few years, is how active the social media presence is from the participants, from these, you know, these kids doing, you know, the theater kids talking about doing theater. And, you know, backstage, and they call it the takeovers, where I have a handful of, you know, someone takes over the account for the week, for Tech Week usually. And the kids in both of our summer productions this year, were able to do that for the first time for PYT, and it was a blast. I think they loved.
That's not true, we've done it before, but it just was way more successful this year.
My kid was aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really fun, and it was really, you know, done really well, and you know, it's a identity for them. So it's a way to cultivate that, really.
And I agree, Instagram is where the participants are.
Yeah, totally.
It's the right.
But we are on Facebook. They are both owned by Meta, so I just make everything go on both.
Yeah.
But we get way more engagement on Instagram, though the same posts are also going on Facebook. Facebook is best to reach our parents and then I'd say other adult supporters, maybe parents who have aged out, et cetera, et cetera. So we see there aren't any real ways for us to track it, but from our these like clicks on links and things that we post, I definitely think Facebook is the bigger driver for things like enrollment and ticket sales, but engagement for sure is Instagram. And then I will toot my own horn. Over the last few years, I've been doing a series of season announcement teaser posts over the couple weeks before. It's so much fun. Before we announce our just primarily our main stage shows, I put together a series of posts of random things related to what the titles are, and I know the kids go crazy trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
It definitely
I
gets the
love it.
kids talking.
Yeah. And they usually do by the end of it.
We usually have it figured out by the end.
Yeah. But that's become really trendy among
Yes.
theater companies to do it that way. So I like it. I do have one of our videos linked here. I don't know if it's going to play through, but we can give it a shot. This is from Alice in Wonderland this summer.
I think because it's PDF, it's.
Oh, it's not gonna do
it's
it?
Flat, yeah.
Okay, like.
Okay, copy paste.
Some PDF has.
Usually they do, but.
I think you have to take it out of.
Maybe out of presentation mode.
Mm.
Oh, there it
Oh,
is.
there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, no, oh wait, no, yeah, you can see it. I have to unmute it.
It checks, nice.
Is it volume on?
Sorry, I meant. That's great.
Love this. Lexi's costume.
And the best
Oh my goodness, sorry. I went a little too loud. Sorry.
DIY outfit. I got my Converse and my socks that only one of them glows, and then I have my giant hat, and then I have my slightly less giant hat, and
Oh.
yeah.
You wanna start it over? Yeah. The first two kids are also very funny.
So I'm wearing overalls that I painted with blacklight paint, and then I'm wearing white Converse from Chuck Taylor's, and then I'm wearing colorful socks, and then I have scrunchies that light up.
Hey guys, welcome to my fit check. Today we're gonna start at the bottom. Today I'm wearing my beautiful knockoff Converse from Amazon. Very, very cheap, very beautiful. Then I am into the green environment, so reuse, reduce, recycle. On my jersey today, I'm pretty sure it was from SpongeBob. Anyways, these are homemade DIY, hashtag DIY. And these are of my
It's
look
amazing.
today. My beautiful hat, and I love being tall, so like, yeah. Bye guys.
This is my DIY outfit. I got my socks that only one of them glows, and then I have my giant hat, and then I have my slightly less giant hat, and yeah.
So I just learned this is called doing the hall,
In the hall.
doing the hall.
I thought it was a fit check.
You can do, yeah, but at the shows, the theater takeovers are doing the hall.
Oh.
Oh, no.
This is also why I'm outsourcing this work.
Yeah.
It's like what you wear.
The hall is when you go shopping.
Yeah, like what you haul.
Right.
Well, I've
Here's the
done.
hall.
Yeah.
I was thinking
A tip
HALL.
check, sure, yeah.
Yeah, they did some ASMR stuff where they're like tapping on all those stuff. Yeah, really, really excellent ones there.
Just an additional thing for marketing, also word of mouth, where are you guys getting most of your stuff, or is it mostly, how is is word of mouth also a part of, it's not, yeah, I thought it was traditionally marketing, but word of mouth is also where enrollment is coming from, or kind of how's that going as well?
Yes.
It's just not on here, so I just, yeah.
Oh,
What primarily is kind of also driving, whether that's your enrollment or ticket sales or things like that, coming through Facebook or word of mouth? How'd you find us type thing?
yes. I mean, word of mouth is, are you talking about specifically like where the word of mouth is coming from?
No,
or
no, no,
that
I'm
it
asking,
exists?
it's gonna be a breakdown right now.
Yeah.
With social, is it coming mostly from word of mouth right now, or is it coming?
Oh, yes.
Facebook, okay, word of mouth, yeah. And just with social, it's just interesting to, social media is great, how much is coming through from social media?
Yeah, I can't, that's not something necessarily we track
Yeah.
either by data. But I think, PYT's reputation in the community is longer.
Yeah,
We've been around
primarily.
for 30 years.
Mhm.
A lot of people are hearing about us, but I also think people are just Googling theater Mountain View. We're a hit that comes up.
Yeah.
See, all right, great. And then our financials, how do you determine our current break-even point? Well, we feel free to ask questions later, but we monitor our budget. We create a budget and follow it. That's how we find our break-even point. But specifically, we're looking at our expenses, money or monthly expenses. Generally, and then I always do a breakdown by program at the end of each specific program, whether it's a show, whether it's camp. And we usually do an evaluation around the end of summer to now, to set our end of year fundraising goals. This is where we're collecting the majority of our contributed revenue, to ensure that whatever that break-even point is at the end of the year is met. And in general, we are always working to keep our expenses low. Some of the ways that we do that are prioritize reusing as many set materials as possible. I know even well before my time at PYT, there's a lot of waste that was happening for a lot of different reasons, but basically we build a set, we get rid of it completely, and we build a brand new set for the next show. We can't do that anymore, and it's also just not really responsible. So that's a priority for us. We also work really hard to adapt a lot of our own scripts. Licensing fees are real and are high for programs like ours. We do it for our big musicals because we have to, but for our programs like Stories on Stage and Theater and Park, those programs are designed for adapting our own scripts. We do bring in play scripts from authors and the like for Stories on Stage as well when we can, but we do try to adapt our own as much as possible. Carol has adapted 2 for this season.
3 for this season.
Oh, 3!
One of them was recycled.
Oh, that's right. But 2 new.
2 new.
Yeah.
Little premieres.
And lastly, I've mentioned a couple of times, but we have a large reliance on volunteer labor. It is required for main stage productions, but it is necessary for our structure. We do not have a large staff. I am second in command. Karen is first. We have an education manager who's full-time, and that's it for the full-time staff. We have a 30-hour-a-week resident choreographer who also does a lot of teaching for us, as well as a 20-hour-a-week bookkeeper. And otherwise, it's just seasonal staff to keep this place running. As far as, so those were kind of all of the strategies to make sure overhead is kept under control. Unanticipated expenses, we managed through an emergency fund. It was larger over the last couple of years. We received a very large grant in 2023 that really upped our emergency fund, but that money is going away going fast. But we still do have a 60K in a different bank account that we have not touched since, or I've been around. That is still there because of a major rainy day. But a big reason why our emergency fund for that 23-3 grant went down was we had a flooding issue in our building. Some plumbing went awry and we were on the hook for it was about $35,000 to $40,000 worth of damages in our building at the end of that year. That giant grant helped out really well, but it was unexpected. We also have lost our Serato storage spaces, which I mentioned earlier, but our moving expenses for that are unanticipated, but we are going to be facing that within the next few months. And as I mentioned, the rental costs for this season at VCPA are going up anywhere from 25% to 40%. 25% is for on the low end is actually for our second stage musical. The 40% end is for our big main stage fall and spring productions where we're in the building for all 2 weeks. And let's have staff here, which we didn't have before. Yeah, so this likely will be the last time that I will have to do this for PYT. You will have someone new next year. But I have appreciated getting to know you too over the last 2 years, and welcome to the committee. And I hope that you'll be able to continue supporting PYT even while I am gone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
You have questions from the committee?
Yeah, I have some questions. Just onto. There was a statement on the marketing slide about operational changes for stories on stage has made it hard for us to market it. I didn't understand what I should maybe ask them, but this. From the board members, it wasn't written here, it was something spoken. It said, well, the operational changes that we've had have made it really hard for us to market stories on stage. Or to make that stories on stage successful. Is that the operational changes for the?
It was that the.
Oh, yes, it is.
Operational changes at the Mountain View Center for the Performing
Yeah.
Arts. That is making stories on stage a challenge.
Yes.
Could you explain a little bit more about how those changes make stories on stage a challenge? I didn't understand.
So the new structure update in VCPA is that 2 staff members are now required in the building for the entire run of the show or shows to operate city equipment and support us in whatever ways we need. Is that correct? Yeah. Previously, we had only hired one person for those productions, who was what was formerly called the facility supervisor, to support us in the building, and all other operations, running the lights, running the sound, were done by our staff, and sound was done by a volunteer for us, and we had a lighting designer who was paid a flat rate to do so. I believe I'd have to dig up the numbers, but
I just didn't understand the connections.
So
that makes more sense.
operationally, we are having to adjust to having those people working with us. In the sound portion of things, we'd usually have a student there working our sound computer, and we have a volunteer help connect things to the soundboard so that student could. The student usually would not be operating the soundboard, but we would have them present and able to run things and stage manage the show. We aren't gonna be able to do that anymore. And also for our lighting, that is actually still something we're trying to work out in preparation for the year, since this is a relatively new change, but at this point, our lighting designer is having to shift to not doing work in the building, which is usually what we would do. They wouldn't come in with design plans set, because it's not the way we operated that program. They would just use our one evening of tech to do program all the cues, but since we're having to work with someone here, we're trying to work out whether we do want to set the cues early or something else, keep it basic. I don't know. That's.
Wait, this is one that I missed that, sorry, to bringing them later, a small detail, but we're on it, so I'm just curious. Bringing them in later because, I'm missing the cost connection for the center, because you would have, it's your guys' person who's doing the design. If you're trying to cut them back in order to save cost?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
And just, well, like I said, their work was primarily done in the building while they were in the building. Now and I'm also describing this in a way that probably doesn't make sense because I'm not a lighting person, so this is all secondhand. So, but they're either gonna do the work early, because usually what they would do is they'd kind of design the show while they were in the building with the kids there.
Sure.
We're not gonna be able to do that anymore, so.
Because the city is running the equipment, correct?
Yes.
So, and then just to be clear, to go off of this question, was there anything else you want?
I think you're probably tying on to the same thing I was gonna ask about as well. I also heard something about now we cannot have students in the lighting booth because of center staff and.
Well, no,
Oh.
could I, sorry.
I understood
Make
that.
a comment?
Hey,
This is something that was not initiated by the center staff or whatever. This decision came from the risk management department in the city. Because a lot of, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, a lot of new equipment was invested in. And so in order to protect this high dollar cost equipment, the risk managers made the decision that professional city staff who had gone through some whatever training they go into would be the only ones that would be okay to operate this new equipment.
So we cannot have students.
You're almost right, Carol.
I know, right?
I'm just gonna
We need help
modify
on
this
this.
a little bit. So we replaced all our rigging
Right, right.
in the center. And then basically, what I'll just say very frankly is I have never experienced a facility that we allowed volunteers to operate rigging. The risk is very high with equipment. And then the move to operate the sound and light boards is because I'm getting ready to replace all that equipment this upcoming year. So we will have new equipment. Right now, the light and sound equipment is not brand new, but it will be soon enough. And so.
But we've been doing this for 20-something years with you. We've never had a problem. They've never caused
That's
a problem.
not it's a risk management issue. We can't allow volunteers and outside folks to operate our
That's a
equipment.
choice they're making.
Choice risk
It's a choice.
management. That's a choice that risk
Right.
managing is making as a city.
But the flip side is, we can't have one of our students up there with adults we don't know, that haven't been fingerprinted, that haven't.
They've all been fingerprinted in background checks. Every city employee has been fingerprinted in background checks.
We have, I think, haven't.
Are
they
those
been
city employees or are they
fingerprinted to do
contractors?
this?
They're all city employees. I don't have outside contractors. They're all city employees. Everybody that our volunteers have been fingerprinted in background check. There isn't a single person in that building that operates under us that has not been fingerprinted in background check.
I think we commonly call it like life scanned or whatever,
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
You can't volunteer and not be fingerprinted.
We've all.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's the same for my employees.
That's why I was curious, because it was, what I kind of heard earlier is that the students cannot be around the staff because we don't trust our students around these staff, but that's what I was gonna ask.
Well,
is,
it's
are they
also-
life scanned.
For a nonprofit, you can't leave your minors with,
Someone else.
yes, like they have to be chaperoned. So it's not, it's also like for your risk management and safety as PYT, that you can't let your kids just go off with people that are not, you know.
From your word.
Yeah, from your organization. So there has to be oversight. Now, but our folks have been fingerprinted and background checked, but that doesn't mean that you still want like your kids
To be
to.
responsible.
Yeah,
There's
not big
systemic,
different.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
systemic constraints on both sides, both on
Yes.
PYT and on the city side.
Yeah,
And that was the point I was making, is it goes both
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah,
yeah.
And we've been with you for 20-something years.
Yes.
We've been the resident company for 20, I was here when we went through the process to become the resident company. And we had to go through a lot of hoops, and that makes sense because you were bringing kids in. But it's getting a little lopsided now, and I'm not sure that we can handle a 40% increase. That is what it looks like when you ask us, correct me if I'm wrong,
if you require us to use 3 of your people for a whole time during main stage shows and 2 of your people for the whole time during stretch of stage. It's not clear that this is sustainable. So when you ask the question of what has changed and what is the risks going forward, it's hard to see, but it's that contract. That's the biggest risk to PYT's success at this point. And I don't think that's being recognized, and I don't think it's being emphasized.
I think a 40% rental, this is the part that I wanted to actually look at, was specifically talk about was the 25 to 40% rental increase. And I wanted to just extrapolate the cost a little bit more, because when we're talking about rental costs, the rental cost of the fee has not increased right now for renting the facility, using the facility, correct?
So the flat rate has increased in the July.
Proportionally to the
In the
fee schedule.
city council fee schedule.
Right.
But as I mentioned when I did our report, PYT is still on the 14% percentage, which has been that way for decades, as far as I know.
But
So as far as the fees that they pay for rentals, for renting the facility, that has not shifted. I didn't up their percentage to 20%. I'm just using that as a random number. So that really hasn't changed, but what has changed is the cost of labor.
and then so specifically, and that was my question. Do you have the data as to how much labor and equipment specifically aside from the rental fee? That is the 20?
Yes, yeah, that's where it's coming. Yeah, it's coming from the increased
Specifically,
production services, I think is the section that it's called, of
and that, yeah,
the hourly
for
rates.
our
for those.
labor and equipment fee for essentially coming from the city. Which, yes. Maybe
So
should-
just to clarify, because I know last year there was a couple of the stories on stage that didn't make the percentage threshold.
And we're charged the 14%.
And they were charged the flat rate. And
Oh,
that
I'm
flat,
sorry.
and that
The
flat rate
yes.
has increased. So that would be an increase. But
Sorry.
in this year, there wasn't a flat rate used at all. It
Right,
was a percentage.
I get it.
But that does, I will say that affects second stage more than the other stages.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the folks that use, including PYT, a lot of the folks that use second stage, you're closer to the line of your gross tickets being able to cover.
And my understanding is there will be another increase next year and the following year, right? That was part of.
We're bringing the resident companies up to the nonprofit rate as the flat rate.
Yeah.
So that's, again, in the case of PYT, predominantly you pay a percentage.
And Teresa,
That
But
doesn't.
we could start creeping closer to that flat rate if it increases.
right, now,
Yes,
the
potentially.
fee study comes from the city contractor through the entire city, I'm correct?
Yes.
So.
That was a citywide fee study. And what I will say is that for CPA, my understanding is that the fees have not been looked at or touched since 2012.
Mhm. Mhm.
So-
Yeah.
And we understand that in theory, but
We
this is such a significant
Right.
year over year increase that it's hit us.
And
I mean, who are seeing?
I'm delicately gonna try and say this, but to leave fees alone for that long is probably not a good practice for.
I mean, we're
Like
talking
if
about
this had been a gradual,
13 years of.
that's a
Right.
long time to just
So-
leave them alone.
I mean, so we're in a bit of a bind on all sides, right? So this is, I mean, the 25 to 40 is not ideal, right? Like this is, and yet we still have these fee increases. And so I do want to do some more smithing into where revenue is coming from, just to help get a picture as well. We've talked about this in previous years, and we have new committee members. Most of tuition is what is primarily bringing in revenue for PYT. Is that-
Tuition and ticket sales, yeah.
Okay, and then do you know the percentages as well of tuition? That's kind of, when looking at break even, that was something that was my hope to see where enrollment and tickets were being the split. Enrollment's all you guys, right? So our tickets, it impacts you guys, but tickets also is us, right? You know, how many audience members are in that theater, right? So this is also a place, we have areas where we touch and we meet, and then we have places where we don't, and tickets happen to be one of them. So that's my curiosity. Life percentages. That's excellent.
I love live math.
Don't ask me. Calculate the tip.
That's not you.
No. And while that happens, what is, if we may, what is the, with, I mean, obviously there's uncertainty and we talked a bit about this, but I mean, we have a significant amount of the board here too, and we are available for conversation, right? So what kind of is, I mean, it's no doubt, right? Theater is also not in its greatest moment around, and with what has been going. So kind of what is the plan with the 25 to 40% increase if we're looking at that? I mean, look, yeah, the partnership with TheaterWorks has such name recognition and it's an important aspect of a name associated with the center, right? Which would be lovely to have us tagged in social media.
I try, I do some, when you can do collaborative posts, I share those frequently with the center, but it was happening when we had a marketing assistant who was
Yeah, we're
also
getting
doing-
another one.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
But it
Time
kind
for
of,
hashtag MVPCA, which is lovely,
yeah,
so.
but we tag you when we mention you, so,
Excellent. So kind of just what, talking about, so kind of what are some of the plans, and I know we have some, or is it still in looking, I mean, there's a lot of changes happening.
we don't know.
Recent.
Right, I was
Okay.
gonna say,
Still recent?
Connor, because I feel like you shared that there were some more recent
Yeah.
things that came out. and-
Okay, yeah, I will mention, we did, luckily, this was a light, there was an employee retention credit, through the IRS that happened during COVID that we had applied for 2-3 years ago. Had never seen that money. Magically last month, we get 100K from the IRS. Thank you, Uncle Sam.
Well.
Yeah, so
The odds.
that is going to help
Yeah.
us survive over the next few months. In addition to this, we're also facing that move of trying to figure out what the hell we're gonna do with our costumes.
Right.
Because our rent in Milpitas for, how big is that space?
I'm sorry.
How big is the Milpitas space? 20.
I'm really bad at that.
Okay.
It holds 500 linear feet of costumes. 500 linear.
So,
What
yeah,
size that is, I don't know, because
like looking for 2,000 square feet of extra space in the rental market here is going to be a hit when we are currently paying $500 a month for that space. So that's a lot of that 100K is going there. We're also figuring out the transition plan of me and whoever's gonna replace me and some overlap for training, so that is that. So yeah, as partly I mentioned trying to figure out what our end of year campaign is gonna look like. Because 89-90% of our annual contributed revenue comes in the last 3 months of the year. So we will be molding whatever that campaign is gonna be this year around making sure we can fund all this. Yes, Pam?
I just, sorry, I don't wanna interrupt where you're going, but also what I meant to ask was more, there were some changes about fees and expectations of staffing that I thought were more recent and shared with you. I don't know how recently.
The minimum staffing was the most recent.
That
Yeah,
was
that was.
That's what this is, yeah.
Equipment one,
So that
yeah.
was the most recent change,
Yeah.
because some of these things were discussed previously, but this.
Right.
hit.
The requirement of city staff having to use the equipment was announced in March of this year, I believe, but we had discussed it in the previous year, so we knew that was coming. This requirement was. I do have percentages. So 27% for this year's budget is about where our contributed revenue is hitting. I'll start with the biggest one, our theater in the park, which is our summer camp tuition fees are 32% of our revenue budget.
This is program specific.
This program specifically. Total across all of our tuition programs, tuition is 56% of our budget. That includes tip. So that's total tuition-based programs. And then ticket sales are about 15%, 16%.
So about 15%. No.
Do you have a similar breakdown for cost?
Yes. I'm on our budget right now. I just didn't have percentages. You're welcome. So we have this broken down a little bit.
While this also happens, can I hear a little bit more overview about stories on stage? I know it's been talked about, but kind of just getting a full picture of it again, in more detail of the program that it is, if you were giving it to a parent.
The elevator pitch.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, yeah,
The
sure.
elevator pitch for
A little
stories on
bit,
stage.
yeah, but not pitching it, but if you, yeah, but.
It's where literature, where children's literature comes to life on stage. More,
A little bit more, a little bit.
okay,
yeah.
so we adapt.
Of
Stories on stage?
stories on, I have not. That's why I'm
Oh,
asking.
they're awesome,
There you
they're
go.
awesome. So it's a 40-minute show with a talk back. Most of them are adapted from, a lot of them are adapted from, classic stories, but a lot of them are also things that we go out and get the rights for and adapt. And authors have been generous in helping us get those rights, though we still do have to pay something. But of course, the process of getting rights is
Right.
exceedingly hard always. We adapt them. Karen Simpson has adapted many of them. I've adapted them. A few other people have adapted other places. We sometimes are able to get scripts from children's theater programs elsewhere, but usually they don't fit our parameters of 40 minutes and whatever. Kids get a bookmark with suggested reading on the way out. They're great little.
Yeah.
Well, this week from
They're
the
black box.
Well, and from the actor's perspective, it's generally like a cast of 8 to 12 kids who get to work really closely with each other to collaborate both creatively, technically, and they also get direct contact with the director, and they just get a
It's a
lot
very
more.
accelerated, 8
Accelerated.
rehearsals, 1 tech,
Yes.
it's mounted, they get to perform it 3 times on Friday, 2 times on Saturday. The audiences are, wildly appreciative at the school
The
shows.
school shows are packed.
Yeah.
The school shows are typically.
And from the
This would
audience
be
perspective.
performed at the school campus.
No.
No,
Second
Second
stage, the schools come on a field trip.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
That's right.
By the school or the district then.
Right. The kids get to
They're fine.
see the faces up
But-
close of the
Yeah,
customers that
because
they're.
it's second
that
stage,
they're-
they're
yeah,
right.
Because they're 10 feet away from you.
Really,
Like
it's
other
like
people from their
season
school,
very
not just.
And the schools don't pay very
Often,
much.
often.
The schools get a very discounted.
Oh, yeah.
All the ticket
$7
prices are low,
for-
the schools shows are exceptionally low. And that's one of the reasons why changes hit stories on stage very hard.
There's not much money in
You
it.
can't raise the ticket prices on 40-minute shows.
Right.
Performed by 14-year-olds, it's not like they can skyrocket the ticket prices and make a difference.
Are these high school students that are primarily or?
They're
Uh,
12 to 18.
12 to 18, okay, got it.
Middle.
I would say primarily.
I'd say primarily middle right now.
Middle school kids in the recent years.
Oh.
For the
Okay.
performers, it's a risk because
Right.
they have to actually audition and they may or may not get a spot. On main
Good for
stage
them.
shows, everybody who auditions gets something.
Mhm.
And so the risk isn't there, which allows them to dip their toe in the water, get a good feel for what it's like, get a main stage experience where they can look out across the audience and see what it is.
And
Where second
Not every
stage.
kid
is
who
different.
wants to do theater is a meadowlark, so that,
Right.
it's a great place for kids who want to do theater and explore. It's also a place where you originate work, I mean, some of these
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
scripts that have never been done before. There have been rare occasions when the author of the book has also been able to attend.
Yes.
And
One coming in October, right?
one coming up, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that publicly because it's not like it's a public appearance from the author. But Paul Marshall, for example, a Newbery Award winner and the son of a Newbery Award winner. We did his father's play based on The Cooking Boy. We did his his book, Joyful Noise, and, like I reached out for a quote, he said, it's imagination come to life, it's
Yeah.
a very cool program.
And they have opportunities for teams to adapt book stories as well, so that is yet another growth leadership opportunity for our youth.
And as the kids get older, like my daughter is in high school now and she has enjoyed, she's been in Stories on Stage shows, but she's also stage managed the Stories on Stage shows. And has learned a ton, really.
Yeah,
As
it's a
Connor-
really intense learning experience.
It
And
sounds
as
like
Connor
a.
said, that role may no longer exist, right?
We'd like to make it work.
Stage managing.
Trying to figure it out.
Having the students.
Having students.
Yes,
part of
yeah.
that,
Sort of
part that.
mentored.
Mhm.
I have a question. I heard the quote, we're trying to save the Stories on Stage program. And then you said you're trying to get more people in, and it sounded like you're trying to get more people in the backstage side as well as the audience side. She was saying not as many middle school and high school people are as involved.
The audience has been good. The participation of the kids has taken a hit after COVID.
Okay.
We lost a generation of big kids to not having participated during COVID. And so the
Oh, yeah.
the teen shows have been smaller and the
Right.
Stories on
Couldn't get them
Stage has
back.
been smaller.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so there was like 4 years of teens. not-
Like, think of the pipeline and it got.
Right, the pipeline got
Highly affected, yeah.
disrupted.
The middle schoolers now, you may get high school students in a couple of years. Okay,
Yes.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, no
We have
exposure
to
to
grow
it.
new
so
ones,
to-
yeah.
So as a program, is this program losing money then?
It has not been making money for
Oh, no,
some time now. However, keep in mind, the Stories on Stage are, the budget is small. We, for our use fees here previously were around $2,000 per show.
We're talking about 4 Stories on Stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So out of our, $1 million budget, it's a drop in the bucket. But the impact and the amount of time that we spend is not proportional to that. We put a lot of effort into this program because we care about it. But it was kind of unsustainable before, now it's becoming sustainable. And we don't wanna cancel it. That's what we're trying to do this year, but changes are gonna have to be made.
So, I want to say something about Stories on Stage. My daughter started just a year ago, she just turned 13, at his age. Stories on Stage enables kids from schools or kids, when they come, to touch and feel the actors and see the director and have an interaction. That Connor can correct me wrong, but it sort of like gets the kids into the theater, right? Interest. These are kids who come from elementary school, so them are coming from elementary school. And the fact that they're able to touch and feel the actors and see this, performance happening right so close. In fact, my daughter has commented that it's very disruptive because they are talking the whole time. And reacting the whole time. So what Elizabeth describes Story on Stage for me is that a street play inside.
Okay.
Because it's a street play essentially, and it's inside a theater. Because this interaction goes on, right? It is an immensely impactful exercise, the Stories on Stage. Not just for the actors, but also for the kids who come and see it. My daughter, who's been doing some stage, and I'm sure Gary would say, she became a star because she was performing here in 7th grade. There were kids who were from her school who knew her in the school play from there. They were like, oh yeah, she was like a minor celebrity at the time. The impact that has on it is like pretty amazing. So it'll be pretty sad if we are not able to afford Stories on Stage. Not just for us as PYT, but I would think for the Mountain View larger theater community.
I will elaborate a little bit more, taking a step back from just SOS. Our performance programs, what we do here in Mountain View, main stage and second stage, we ultimately lose money on all of those programs. We are not breaking even. That's where our theater in the park.
Productions,
Yeah.
Camp.
Our theater camp is the moneymaker that allows us to have the rest of our programs.
Yeah.
That's how our budget's built. I do have the expense.
Oh, that's right. We were waiting for something.
So we have them broken down kind of by production and education, and I can give you those numbers if you're interested, but higher total payroll across everything is 58% of our expenses. occupancy, which this number includes our rent at the studio as well as what we pay to use our external spaces for our camps and our performances, is 31%. And then other production expense is 3% and admin is 8%.
I'm sorry, what was production again? So sorry.
Other production is 3%.
Sorry for that one more time. What was that?
3.
3.
And no, that includes sets, costumes, everything we do.
Right.
Most of what we're doing is to pay our staff.
Mm-hmm. Staffing yourselves, good.
Yeah, and our biggest occupancy cost is our studio. Around $2,000 a month in rent there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Another question, can I have some comments?
Yes, go ahead.
I really, first of all, really appreciate this presentation. I think we all do, super informative. It's been a while, for me, about 10 years since I performed my last community production. Not with PYT, but with other, yeah. PYT is, I was too old when I moved here for it.
Understood.
But, you know, to see, you know, these struggles that I'm hearing from your organization are not unique from when I've been more involved with other community theaters. You know, making money to support the other programs, finding the ways to do that, it is a challenge, and all expenses. I am surprised but not shocked that with all of, like, I read in the San Jose Mercury News and the Mountain View Voice about all these huge office vacancies, that they're still gouging for rents. Doesn't make any sense to me. I believe you, but it's so sad that they have their space sitting empty, that I know a group like yours could, you know, like you said, rework it a little bit, make it work. So I would encourage you to keep maybe looking for some of those places with the high occupancy rates. Maybe they can have a soft spot in their heart. Most places I perform, which have been community aspects, but not at necessarily a theater like the Performing Arts Center, with the exception of Hill Barn Theater, which Hill Barn kind of runs all of their own stuff. Hill Barn is the resident company and runs the building as well. But places like Saratoga Drama Group, the volunteers for the theater do the rigging and the lighting design and hanging the lighting. Select volunteers, not just anybody, because of the risk and stuff. So I've not been involved as a community member performing in the production, where there was restrictions of that nature before, but I understand risk is changing and evolving. So I think it's unfortunate that this is a very large unexpected cost for, I assume it's gonna hit all of the people that perform at Mountain View, and will be a surprise to all of them. So with my passion for wanting to bring live theater to as many people as possible, it's just a little sad. And I would encourage anything that would help bridge this for these groups. This is the first group we're hearing from, but I like I said, we'll hear from all of them, I'm sure. Anything we can do to bridge that or make it a little less painful or help move other levers, I think would be useful for keeping shows going in the theater. Everybody's budgets are tight. That's all my comments. Thanks.
You did such a fine job. I'm surprised I don't have much to say.
Thanks, Carol. Antara, you have anything to say?
No. And I just love the work you guys are doing. I run my own arts organization. It's a really small school. They teach them doing classical dance, and hearing kind of what you guys have created is just so inspirational. I'm like, I would love to I can't even imagine that far to have like the next generation and next generation. But I'm like, wow, it happens. So you know, kudos to you. This, I know it's not easy, but great, you guys.
Great. Other things?
Thank you.
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Good luck.
continued support. I'll still be around for the next couple months, so this will not be my last time you see me, but.
Excellent.
Much.
Thank you,
Thank
Connor.
you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you for coming.
Thanks so much for. Come see the show.
Yes, yes, yes.
Shrek is.
I think I have
Dragons.
some, my
Those
name.
dragons
Oh,
tacos.
it's
I just did,
Yes.
yes, like in college.
That one's it.
That was, I remember that one too.
What's the song?
There's a long list.
I think I've seen some, maybe these story shows in a park where we've seen, yeah. With a lot of kids sitting on the ground watching.
You know, I brought kids to theater those when they were, you know, they were their late 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
And I could see my granddaughter and she's like in awe.
Well, thank you and good luck.
Yes, thank you. We'll hear soon. Thank you. I forgot to ask, I wanted to ask about ticket sales. We did not, but okay.
I have a question about this attendance revenue.
Oh, that's our
yeah.
next. This is the next quarterly impact.
Got it, got
Okay,
it.
let's move, yes, I do one last, I mean, for, I should have asked it, but thinking, I'm curious about the ticket sales, the drop in ticket sales, they're at selling at 0.5% of main stage. So I don't know if there's a way that we could connect it up with them on regards to that, but that's something that I'm interested in hear from us, the committee. I don't know if we could correspond with Connor on that.
What would you like me to ask him?
I'm just because I'm curious if, so what, because also do they have a dip in their ticket sales? Do we have that from last year as well?
From last year, yes,
So I'm curious
significantly.
that, and so this
Because
is,
their main stage, well, couple things, the last 2 years, they've only done 3 on the main stage.
Mhm.
And their ticket sales were generally, and I'm going off of memory, I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but I can obviously bring them to you. Usually 70 plus, 70%. plus.
So that- yeah.
I
And
was
so they did
surprised.
4, they did 4 this, I was shocked. So they did 4 this year and they only had 1 that was above.
So
So that's a change for them from literally the last 2 years.
They went from 3 main stage shows to 4.
which increasing
I
rate.
also wanted to ask and kind of they always do 7 second stage.
I also wanted to break
Yes.
down, we didn't get a chance to return to this, and so that was,
Yes,
so.
they typically
so if
do.
we-
They always do
They
7.
do,
Okay,
they do 7, if not more.
if not more, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am curious if we could just hear from Connor about what happened regarding ticket sales. Just open-ended, I don't
So,
have those, but.
The other thing I want to put on the record is for stories on stage,
Mhm.
my staff sells those tickets.
Mhm.
They call all the schools from previous years
Okay.
and sell those.
So I thought there was some oversight on us as a committee, so
And then the other thing I want you guys to understand is the school in the box, that's also subsidized by the city, it's the recreation. It's for the schools.
mhm.
The school in the box. which one's that?
The plays in the box, where they
Okay.
go out to the schools.
So that's not under the resident company umbrella.
I mean, there's gonna be, but in regards to that, right, there's always aspects of their revenue that don't pertain to us. I mean, if they're using the facility, but we're not, right? They're not using the facility for school in a box, right?
No,
Okay,
what I'm trying to say is my department is paying for this.
yeah, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, that's.
But
I think
through
it's
the
all
recreation
transparent.
center,
What I'm trying to say is there's a lack of transparency here.
right?
What is your department paying for? Sorry, I'm not
We're
understanding.
city, so I'm part of the community services department.
Okay.
And so I'm the Center for Performing Arts
Yeah.
and we have a recreation department.
Yes.
So that department pays for those. Pays for
Okay.
the school,
The school in the box.
school in the box,
Right.
the 25% that go to Mountain View.
Oh, okay.
Well, it might be useful in the future for somebody to make a comment that, thank you for telling us the overview, but we'd like to confine our questions to the resident company, part of your company or something.
I mean, this is the second year of this and we can keep on refining it. It's just,
no.
but this continues to be the struggle of what is under our auspices and not. And then also what are but I mean, this is an ongoing, from their perspective too, of what are we asking for directly. They can continue all day to give us overviews of their entire organization, but not all of it pertains to us. Not all of it in the narrative that they're writing makes clear where income flow is coming from or things are being subsidized directly. And so I mean, I don't fault them for that necessarily. I mean, but I mean, yeah, this is the question, but yeah.
It's just specific on this slide. Is this what you're talking about as part of the recreation department? Okay,
Yeah.
that would have been good for them to call out. And I guess my ask would be, maybe the next company that presents, I don't know if they have anything like that, but.
They do, I mean, this is unique to them.
Unique, because it's
This
the
is
kids
unique to
program
them.
right now.
I mean, and the history of it being with the city.
Yeah.
So it's just, but yeah. So,
Partnership with another program in the city. or another-
no, it's the same department though, but
Oh.
also because their education though, they're capable of doing both. But
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, there's, I mean, there's no harm in it, but I'm not trying to say that, it's just,
Is.
it's being subsidized.
That's good to know.
It's the transparency.
Mhm.
So, quarterly impact report, this is, so you guys are getting the whole year here, which is typical. I bring these to you. Like this is July, August, September of 24, so it runs on our fiscal year. And then we do, typically in August, but sometimes it takes us a little while. Things, so we're bringing this to you now. We had other things to tend to in August. So basically, as you can see, the quarterly, and don't stop me if we have any questions, but we have main stage and second stage and for the July, August, September of 24, we had 26 total performances, number of tickets sold, 5,702. And as you can see, like, the percentages are up above, like Upstage did pretty well with their, well, New Century Dance was a high number for that one. So they did 66%. And then Post came, Semper Funds came into Giants Rising. And then you can see like Golden Goose for Peninsula Youth Theater was at 65%, which is, that's a nice healthy number. This quarter, typically in July, August, and September, sometimes Theater Works loads in a little earlier and their show is starting in September, but for this quarter last year, they did not have a production. I also want to point out, obviously, the ancillary spending. This is according to Americans for the Arts. The ancillary spending of the attendees on all attendees average is $225,000 for that quarter. And then as you can see, we ramp up a little bit, obviously, because this is.
I do have a question.
Summers are slower. What?
Zero.
It's not a ticketed performance.
Okay, you've mentioned that before. I forgot.
Yeah. If it's zero, it's
Just
not, it's,
rented the theater.
they rented
and
it and they had,
Did what they did.
yeah.
Okay.
Does it make sense to separate main stage
I
from
was
second
just
stage?
gonna say that. Okay.
We can if you like, and we.
You and I, yeah, yeah, okay.
We can do that and we.
I was
and part
just
of-
wanted to look at it at a glance, yes.
And I was thinking about that actually because we did it for Peninsula Youth Theater because of the resident company changes, the main stage. There's a percentage for main stage and you
Well-
need to uphold that percentage or you're gonna lose.
Moving forward, Theater Works now has 5 weeks in second stage as well, so.
Yes.
So breaking that out in the future might be good.
Yeah. So second quarter for us is October, November, December. As you can see, we have a grand total, and that includes King James for Theater Works. Grand total for quarter 2, 68 performances, tickets sold 19,153 with a percentage of everybody at 73%, which is a nice healthy percentage in this market right now. And then all attendee average, of course, for ancillary spending, 757,000 and some change. Yes.
I have a question though about King James. I did see a lot of social media things for that. I didn't see that particular performance. 36% of the house sounds low.
It is.
Yes.
Was there, I guess we have to wait for we talk to Theater Works, but is there anything that you're aware of that drove that low attendance?
Wait for a conversation with TheaterWorks.
Or we wait for the, I didn't know if there was like, there was bad weather or.
Theater Works
In
is
this,
separate.
in the outside of world.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Flooding, people were riding the theater.
Maybe.
So,
Maybe there could have. Did something happen with the fountain that day?
No,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Yes.
so I saw that play. It was an excellent script. They had two of the best actors that I've seen them hire.
It wasn't a bad show.
It was not a bad show, but apparently people didn't buy tickets.
So that like on a long weekend or something?
No, well, they run for 3 weeks, so, you know.
Yeah, they
Which
like
is something to keep in mind with the,
runs.
with
Yeah.
the attendance as well over 3 weeks.
Yes.
This looks like a really good quarter. Is that kind of how you guys?
So the January, which one?
Sorry, the October through December one?
Well, so typically our season runs like a typical season,
Right.
September
Through.
through, we drop off sometime in June. So basically, you know, that's kind of typical. But I will say the 2 months that are nuts, I call them our knot hole, is December and May. We shove more shows and more dancers in my building
Yeah.
than, you know, we just are full. There just isn't a, you know, single bit of room anywhere. So Smune, Western Ballet, you know, we've got folks, Pacific Ballet. And then January, February, March, we're typically a little lighter in January, but Theater Works loads in and sits with us for 5 weeks. That's typically a Hershey Felder. So, you know, we have Lamplighters, Peninsula, Youth Theater, Peninsula Open Space. This year we had Amy Tan, which did very well, 99%. Very well received.
Wow.
I'm sorry, which quarter are we looking at right now?
It's 117.
January, February, March.
Sorry, I'm doing.
What's
over
that?
here.
Sorry, I see 117%.
I have a question about that one too.
It probably, does it rotate or what's that thing?
Oh, so French Talent is a talent show.
Mhm.
So they're actually, how do I explain this? The second stage is really only meant for 150 folks,
Okay.
but because it's a talent show and you have folks coming in and coming out, we actually oversold it, I guess is the best way to say it. Because the attendees are gonna come and watch your talent,
Right. Oh, and then they'll leave.
and then they'll leave, and then we,
I
so.
see, okay.
So in essence, we oversell it because we know that people are not.
They're not gonna be there full time. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's the best way to explain.
Main stage, yeah, 99%. Great.
Yeah, so we're 21,127 for that quarter at 72%.
The
And then-
conversation did well.
What was that?
Sorry, Peninsula Open Space Trust. It was just a conversation with Amy Tan.
Yes,
So a conversation did well. It's good to know, just kind of.
And the ticket prices were reasonably high.
they were healthy prices,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I thought about going and I thought, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, and then the night of, you
I
couldn't
have
have,
that.
and if you waited, it was sold out.
Yeah, now I have income, so I can do
Not,
things.
I don't wanna say like weeks before, but I remember it was sold out, cause I was asking my husband, I think. And then, when I asked Sean if there's any tickets left, he's like, all I have is house seats left, and I was like, oh, okay, well, never mind. So, and then, you know, obviously we have, you know, folks like the bottom one here, Dance Arts Foundation, that's a dance competition. So there's no tickets sold, but they're in and out. So, you know, for one day, we have 3,621 people that come through our room.
Wow.
Sorry, what was that again? One more time. Sorry.
3,621.
Oh,
the
yes,
bottom one.
yes. Yeah, last.
For my 600 seater. So for
So
those,
there's 6.
well, it's a dance,
Like all
it's a
day.
competition all day. So people come in, they watch their friends, they
Leave, yeah.
Mhm.
But
I do have a question, I guess, about those vote for the Gravitate as well. Why isn't there a facility use fee? Like, what did we charge them?
So the facility use fee, is a ticketing fee.
Oh, okay.
So basically
So-
what happens, how do I say this? I think this is one of those that's a little hard to explain. So basically, When you're purchasing a ticket, the facility use fee is paid by the patron.
It's like $1.
Yeah,
Whatever,
it's-
that
and
fee,
so
okay.
that's paid by the patron, so the client doesn't pay that. In their case, because they're not charging for tickets, there is a facility, we have like a formula and you'll pay that as part of your. Because
Okay.
we are
So this doesn't
losing
show
our
the rental
facility.
fee on this chart, okay, this
Yeah.
is attendance revenue.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how do you manage the flow of people coming and going? Do they need a pass? A pass of some sort for a particular time?
No, because it's different groups. So, if there's, I don't know, the Mountain View group is at 11, then everybody that knows them are gonna come and then they perform and then they leave and then the Palo Alto group is next up and it's just, we do have to make sure, we do have to click and make
Yeah,
sure that
exactly.
we don't overfill. But, so far that has, we managed that well.
Sounds very dynamic.
Well, that's why we have lots of house managers and volunteer ushers that
Question.
help navigate that.
Just a note too, on Q3, looking at TheaterWorks again at 72%. For their not typical programming, right? That is special programming. Am I correct or right?
Yeah, that's, they
This-
are
this is what you spelled it, right?
presenting.
They're
They are
presenting,
They're
which-
not originating.
Which is technically not our agreement with TheaterWorks, is that correct, right?
No, that hasn't changed.
Right, it's not though, but they cannot present, am I correct? But
No, they can.
they can.
When we rearranged the resident company, we kind of let.
But it's still at 72%, and so when we are also looking at shows, they are originating, so it's an interesting thing.
And then Q4 is April, May, June. And then we're always a little lighter in June typically. So, Fayou Theater, I do want to point out Fayou Theater only because their performances are in Mandarin. So we've actually, in the short 3 years that I've been here, there's been multiple companies that have come. Fayou, they're in Mandarin, Teatro Noel, they're in Spanish. So, we're getting a few more folks that represent the diversity of mountains. I would say. And then you can see another one I want to point out is Force Majeure Medium, best of stand-up comedy. As you can see, 98%, comedy does really well.
I was there. It was great.
Yeah. And, and then things like, and this is second stage, but the adventure through video music, 93%. And then Park at Opera, Tartuffe did really well, good on them. And then, we had the Heart Sellers for TheaterWorks, season announcement and come back to the 5 and Dime. So 37, 38, I don't know, season announcement. But, and totaling 64%.
And what is the percentage that they're supposed to hit as per our?
65%.
So,
So,
and I did actually come and see the 5 and Dime show.
Mhm.
It was outstanding and many seats I know that were sold, because when I bought my seats, they showed sold, people didn't come. So I don't know if it was season subscribers or something. I don't know. It was like the whole room, my friend and I sat on the edge because our whole row was sold, but it's empty. So it was very, I guess I could swear who attended versus bought tickets, but and I thought, oh, maybe it's we're in the summer, and then I went possibly the same weekend or the next weekend to see Drowsy Chaperone by South Bay Musical Theater. Or West Valley Light Opera, I can't remember. They both perform in the same space and sold out. It's a smaller space, but just interesting to me.
They did 27 shows here of 5 and Dime.
yes.
Uh-huh.
So they perform basically, they've modified that a little bit, but they basically, so they're loading in right now this week. And the show, they'll go into preview night next Wednesday. So it'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday previews, Saturday opening night, and then they run basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I mean, there's so many tickets, which is just because they have so many shows, the percentage is so low. Like you're selling a decent.
They
good amount of
have
tickets.
longer runs. And
I mean,
I
selling.
think, to my way of thinking, it seems like if people think they have a lot of time, buy a ticket, they'll just put it off and then forget about it.
you know?
I do think that hits the nail on the head.
So Five and Dime is, that was a world premiere. They have a New Work Festival every summer in Palo Alto. And so they hired a playwright to write that last August. And then they spent time developing it into a full, because they had the New Works Festival are stage readings. And so this was the world premiere of the full production with empty sets and more anchors and stuff. But still, that is pretty low.
48. Which, but I mean, I didn't see higher salaries, but I'd give it a 48. I see that. I see where that came in.
Well, what I would say for a new work, 48% is not that bad. That's not a bad. percentage
Exactly.
For a new work. Because people don't know the name,
Right.
they haven't seen the show, there's no
Jeannie Dean?
reviews yet, that sort of thing.
Who's he?
Yeah. So that thing is just basically a breakdown of, just giving you the absolute total numbers for, and just to explain the reason why it says showware and then TheaterWorks, I should say Tessitura. But
Right.
showware is the ticketing software that we use. TheaterWorks has their own, ticketing software. Tessitura that we also know how to use, but they predominantly sell most of their tickets themselves. And then the grand total by quarter, and then the grand total for the year, and then the ancillary spending. And you guys will hear me talk about ancillary spending ad nauseum,
Yeah.
because it's not something that has been talked about here traditionally, but it's important because our ancillary spending by Americans for the Arts for Santa Clara County, by our attendance numbers, is $2,943,000. Brought into the community by our patrons. And that is not chump change.
Right.
Very, very nice numbers that we need to be very proud of. And the problem is explaining to me what ancillary spending is.
Or what the center is still.
That too.
Well, I mean, exactly. My neighbor and I came to see Five and Dime, but of course we went to dinner beforehand, right down the street. And instead of eating at home and coming over to get, and we took an Uber because we didn't feel like walking and just.
There you go. There it is.
There it is.
There it is, that ancillary spending, and it matters.
Matters.
It
Yeah,
matters.
it was about $100 for me on top of my ticket price that I probably spent that night.
How is this calculated though?
So Americans for the Arts, basically, they do it for the whole country.
Okay.
So basically Santa Clara, we have a cost of living and yada, yada, yada. So it's done for the county, and I just use the county numbers. You can actually go in and drill it down for Mountain View itself by zip code. But that gets a little.
Formula, right?
It's a formula, yeah.
I mean, and that's widely, Same
Yeah.
thing when Beyonce came, when Taylor Swift came, Super Bowl, that's these outlets are probably reporting
Yeah.
with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Formula for it, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I think that needs to be a mind shift maybe in the community is that the Center for Performing Arts is not a public field house in a park. It is a professional theater.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not too sure a lot of people think of it that way because they think that it's a public building and they should be able to use the bathroom there, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
it's more a little bit of a wow factor.
I mean, also long-term, right, like prior to also looking at what, say, the facility was in when your tenure began here, Teresa, is also another thing in looking at what maintenance needed to occur. And so long-term maintenance, looking into the future, what we can do for the theater is another aspect too. So that is a challenge, I think, because historically, I don't think we have another theater in our area in this specific part of whether that be Sunnyvale, Mountain View, or Los Altos that is as well maintained as our Performing Arts Center currently is being moved towards and is. So that's an interesting aspect that I think that is a break. And but it's building new narratives for the community. And they should be proud to have a center that is so well kept and so thoroughly thought of into the future. And so there's a level of pride that I think we can have with the center that is not currently there. It is not a field house in the middle or the house in the middle field. It's not, and no longer should be thought of. And that's something I think too that we could do more with getting into the minds of whether that be
And-
members or community.
It's part of the civic center
So, you know,
Which
in
is,
twenty-six, you know, it'll be in twenty-six, it'll be 35 years ago that this was built. So it was only 42 million to do both City Hall and the Performing Arts Center.
Wow.
So our portion of it at at the Mountain View Center for the Parents was approximately 17 million. To replace that facility now is close to 100. In today's dollars.
and right, it's with the library, it's with City Hall, it's right there, so it's in the center.
So we need to care and love. My racehorse isn't called.
The spirit of Mountain View may be innovation, but the soul remains the arts.
I, at another theater that doesn't really exist anymore, our stage manager was regularly got a little jolt for the light, so, you know, I understand. We
I'm
don't
sorry,
want
a
that.
person was,
Little like minor jolt.
just keeps things exciting, keeps things fresh.
Wake up.
Yeah.
No need for the coffee. To be fair, he was also in charge of the maintenance, so. His own doing, so.
Okay. Any other thoughts on item 6.2? Great, so we are on 7 with committee staff announcements, updates, requests, and committee reports. I do think it would be nice to just toggle about what happened with, especially as TheaterWorks is struggling to toggle back with Connor about what happened with, not TheaterWorks, PYT.
PYT.
Yeah, Peninsula Youth Theater. What was from the committee, particularly if anyone else is interested, I'm just curious what was the situation with ticket sales this past and on main stage. What are the numbers before? Also, is it possible to, I'm just curious.
But we have, I don't have them in this binder,
Okay.
but we have those numbers from last year. And I will say that their main stage numbers were 70%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember one of their shows.
Compared to like last year.
Yeah, last year was like 70, I think one was at 80%, you know, like we can pull those numbers out. But yeah,
Yeah.
this was surprisingly low.
Which again, concern. And under our auspice, right, as looking at what the center can do.
No, when we were looking at the home company, the resident company agreements and all that review process and everything, PYT was like, great.
Right, we weren't. That's my concern. That's a sudden squeeze that was unanticipated. You know, they're losing dates, right? Are they? No.
Potentially, yeah.
So that's the thing. Which didn't come up today either, but that's the thing of the potential loss of dates, which is interesting to look at when they are struggling. So that's something, and that's why I'm saying I'm just curious about that. That's my concern right now. There's special aspects. We'll see more once we have our other. I think more will.
So 50% of their shows this past year were under 65, under 60%.
Yeah, but the 65%, if you read that council agenda, the resident company, it's only the main stage. Because the main stage is in such demand.
I see.
We turned away 12 organizations last year
Yeah.
because we didn't have dates. So
Okay.
we're trying to find a fair and equitable way. The ad hoc committee and then council approved it, of course. Committee approved it and went on to council. A fair and equitable way to manage the dates on the main stage because, you know, I have folks knocking on the door and we're turning them away because I just don't have dates to give them.
Okay, so
And then if you're obviously less than 65%, maybe we should give somebody else a chance. This is the logic behind it.
So TheaterWorks did forfeit a few, like a week or something on the main stage this current season, right?
Well, they got 13 weeks on the main stage and then of course they originally had 20 weeks. So then they're down to 13 and then the other weeks are in the
So
are
then
in
they
second
lost
stage.
7 weeks on the main stage.
And they moved one show to the
Do
second
you
stage.
know offhand what the genre mix was of the other companies that came in and filled those dates? Were they all live theater or was there, I'd be interested to see what's filled.
So I'm glad you're asking me this now because to go back and do that for last year would be next to impossible. We can kind of, we can break it down into genres, but to specifically say who
Who got the-
replaced.
Oh, right.
Who got the
That's-
7 weeks? It's. Yeah.
So I think
yeah.
that's one way to measure the success of the resident company review, to say, as these things have opened up, what new things have we brought in? Because what I was, and others were hearing from the community members are, we want to see, you know, a more exciting mix of stuff. But as it stands now, because didn't think about asking last year. It would be nice to say, wow, don't have to say why, but some weeks came up and this is what came, these are the new offerings.
Well, and what we can do, so what I'm happy to say is we have new venue management software, which we were last year in the midst of like finishing with the old and using the new, and it's a little, you know, us just adopting the new software is a little bit like that. But now we could actually probably go in and say, we want to know how many dance troupes did we have? How many theater troupes did we have? How many music troupes did we have? How many comedians? How many? We can break that down and it will sort it for us. It won't tell you exactly who,
Yeah.
but it will give you the percentage of.
That would be interesting in a
Yeah.
future meeting to have that. You don't have that at your
Yeah.
fingertips, but that
Yeah.
would be interesting if you had that.
And I do think there's a growing kind of, with both resident companies, with what recently happened with TheaterWorks and also what the news of talking with YT today. I'm curious in our partnership and what direction as a committee we can assist, because there are in many ways that our hands are tied in certain ways, to the point that you were making, yes, to support them. And I just think we need to think about our partnership with them more strategically. We keep on, like, social media marketing, you know, we keep on coming back to that, and there are ways that we can help them in marketing, and maybe in future meetings we can discuss that. I'm not at this moment still clear on a direction as to
What we can do.
what
Levers we can pull.
yeah, and also, you know, in order, because it's not just time, right? Seats not in the center are not just, it's not just revenue loss, but it's also people not in the center. It's people who are not participating in our performing arts center, right? So are we underserving a general fund or a city funded center? Yes, we are. We have places where resident companies, you know, are not performing at a level to bring in on top of already the slim demographic margins that they are bringing in. So I just have layer upon layer of concern right now. And I think that that's a conversation in the future that we can have.
And what I'll also say is, because we do the flat fee versus the percentage, it means my cost recovery.
So.
Because, you know, they used to be in.
So there's tension, you know, careful tension in what is happening.
Yeah.
In a sense.
So, you know, even though they make the gross tickets are higher than the flat fee, they're still not at 70% or, you know, where a lot of these groups were previously at a higher rate. So when they're coming in at 51%, that's 20% less revenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Cost recovery.
Well, I also don't quite fully understand how really we could help them, because at the end of the day, they said all their productions on Zoom, which is kind of standard for a lot of Zoom shows. And their ticket sales only make up 15% of
Exactly.
their revenue anyway. So, I mean, they need to make more money. It seems like it needs to come from some of their other programs, but then let's see how. I don't know.
An excellent thing to remember. Yes. That is the careful tension that I'm saying that I think we are walking, is that we don't have structurally a lot of ways to, unless other things on our side of the committee, beyond just specifically center things changed, but it's nice to hear what they have to say, but we don't have the ability to affect the change that they're looking for.
We can't overrule risk management.
And nor can council, nor we don't have, so.
We can ask staff to see if there's creative ways we can partner with to help either bring down cost or provide those opportunities for students to still learn or get some kind of mentorship, but that's. I don't see where we can just say, well, risk management said this, let's just do something different, because
No.
that's not how cities work, so. It's a quick way of getting everybody in trouble, so.
I've been to a few public meetings on other topics in the community lately, and there's a core group of people who don't want any kind of change, basically, and it's just human nature.
Right.
And it's been this way for 31 years and I don't understand and all this. It's some other meeting I heard it that I'm talking about today. But I think that the reason council has advisory committees and commissions is so that there is a sounding board in place for community to go to say all those things. And so that's just kind of part of our jobs, I think, is to listen compassionately.
Yes, I also think, you know, so our hands are tied oddly directly with our resident companies, right? We go to council, staff manages it, we have risk management, like our hands are tied, but our hands are not tied when it comes to, again, connecting with community to see what ways we can be creative with connecting because we're not hearing from, they are community members, they are residents. However, they are not they're not our audience members. I'm sure they're in the audience, but they're not here as representative of our audience, nor the broader arts community and health of the city. So this is a very slim picture of the people that we technically as a committee can serve. You know, if it'd be interesting to talk to the general public. What does the general public feel about the performing arts, things like that? And that's a different conversation than today was about, but that's what we did not see. And that's what we really have not seen. That is places where we could affect change as a committee to some degree. We
How to
haven't-
get the public into these meetings to share.
Exactly, and things
And-
like that.
My last committee I was on, that was not a problem to get public to attend, the bicycle pedestrian, that
Right.
everybody's got an opinion, whether it's change nothing or change everything or whatever. They talk about their bike ride to school or whatever, people came all the time, so we got to hear about their experiences and maybe we have to do a little social media for this committee. We just know that they can come here and talk about what they want to see.
I mean, the arts are about relationships, so it's interesting to think, so but that's right, so the places where we can affect change. It's great to talk with our resident companies and we have oversight. The public is gonna still be our community, still gonna be our.
Before I forget, so I went to the Silicon Valley Creates meeting here a few months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I got on Silicon Valley is creating a boot camp for new arts commissioners. And
A boot camp for new arts commissioners?
yes,
Okay.
not a new one.
Wow.
And it's on October 8th. It's going to be in San Jose from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Now, normally Silicon Valley Creates works with the Visual Arts Committee. But since I'm on the planning committee, I don't know if you two would be interested in going.
I would, but I have a performance on October 19th. I'm rehearsing October 8th. Whenever I'm not here, I have rehearsals Wednesday, Thursday
Okay,
night.
tell me again what performing you do?
I'm performing in Tech-Capella at, it's an a cappella concert.
Okay.
For tech companies in San Francisco. We have been performing in the Fox Theater the last few years. I'm not sure what happened there in Redwood City. But where we did not do our own lights. They did that at the year, but it's like what you're talking about. You come in, a bunch of groups come but everybody stays for the whole time for that one. So you get a reserved seat, you stay. But we're San Francisco, I think Center for the Performing Arts or something. It's a smaller theater, only 400 seats. I think it's almost sold out. So we sing Valerie, the Amy Winehouse one, not the Steve Winwood one, and we're singing an Olivia Rodrigo song and Don't Believe It's Over, the Amy song. Yeah, so it's. Nice.
I'm jealous.
I'm sorry, I can't make it either. I'm flying out that night.
Well,
Well, I would be interested. If they record it, I would be interested.
They've never done one before, so I don't know if they'll record it, but I'll ask. And I don't know what it's all.
I know, and then we have 35th anniversary stuff coming down later, right?
Yes,
So that's another public facing thing for sure.
Yeah.
Which will be fun to talk about.
So when will that be on the agenda?
Well, let's get through the presentation.
So January?
Yeah.
And so will there be?
Or maybe
December.
November. Well, we don't have a meeting, just unless we want to have one.
Not this year.
Probably wouldn't hurt to start talking about it in November.
Maybe perhaps.
Is next month, yearbooks?
Yes.
Mhm.
And then upstage is
Oh.
in November.
That's actually might work, actually. We might have to have time with that to upstage, but
Yeah, like upstage in November, because there's just.
I'm not gonna be able to make it next.
Will we have another member?
What's the date? The 22nd?
15th.
22nd.
Oh, 22nd, I'll be able
It's
to.
this 15th.
No, October 15th.
15th is the challenge.
we can always, can we
My
move?
son is performing in his choirs.
No, that's not.
Right,
That's
Which
my
choir is
last
it?
rehearsal before.
It's a school choir.
But which, or is it?
Graham Middle School.
Okay, with
Yeah.
Kenny Gatterland.
Yeah, it's October 15th.
So
And your performance is the 19th.
My performance is the 19th, so that's my last.
You're like a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, we have our group rehearsal, Google and everything on the 16th, so it's our
do we
last.
want to make it a week later or do we? Because you'll be rehearsing all that week, right?
Yes, I'll rehearse it.
A week earlier, the 8th.
We could do the 20,
29th?
we could do the 22nd.
I think out of fairness to Theater Works, we
That's
should
it.
move it up, we should.
Yeah, move back,
Move it
yeah.
up.
I can't do the 22nd. I'm sorry.
If we have three of us, could at least we'd have
Yeah.
quorum.
Yeah, you have a
We
quorum.
think,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, the likelihood of us having another person.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
No,
not
how
gonna-
interesting, but 22nd, I can. Wednesday, free.
I have to do this at 22nd.
Free.
Okay, then I have one more question for Teresa. I heard a rumor that PAC members might get comp tickets to review the resident company performances.
Yes, so the MOU is in process right now. I've requested that we have house seats. For, and we have like 6 or 8 of them, for each performance. So basically what I requested as part of the MOU is that this body would be able to, each of you will be able to have 2 house seats. Can't all show up on the same night because
Right.
we have so many and they're really for customer, exchanges or mistakes or, whatever, to take care of folks. But, you would be able to use those. So that's part of the MOU. So, but that hasn't been. But
I'm not surprised everything takes so long.
it does.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 8:40.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
did we set the next meeting for the 22nd?